Hi, my name is Ashley, and I will be teaching you some film history. Everyone enjoys a good movie, so let's take a look back to see where motion pictures started. Back in the late 1800s, the Lumiere brothers made films called actualities. Two of their popular films were Women Leaving the Factory and The Train Entering the Station. They are seen as starters of realism film and considered to be the first filmmakers in history. In comparison to the Lumiere brothers, the next filmmaker is quite different stylistically, but is still very important to film history. Georges Méliès was one of the first to see film as an art form. He used multiple exposures, time-lapse photography, dissolves, hand-painted color, special effects, and costumes. One of his most famous films is A Trip to the Moon, made in 1902. He sparked the idea of expressionistic film. The next man I will be speaking of is known as the father of film. His name is D.W. Griffith, and he discovered the grammar of film. He saw that films needed a rhythm and structure. Griffith came up with the idea of cross-cutting, which is cutting back and forth between two shots and two scenes to add tension in the film. He also changed the style of acting in the films. Less is more. Acting should not be exaggerated. Some of his popular films were Birth of a Nation, which was made in 1915, and Intolerance, which was made in 1916. Early German cinema was psychological in nature. The story was always about the individual. They played with the expressionistic side of filmmaking, which contains high contrast lighting, interesting camera angles, and exaggerated decor. An example would be the film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which was made in 1919 by Robert Vine. French cinema had the avant-garde movement in the 1920s. The films are abstract and non-narrative. A great example of that would be Un Chien Andalou, made in 1929 by Louis Buñuel and Salvador Dalí. The film was banned due to its attacks of religion, sexuality, and government. Next is American genre. The United States invented three film genres: Western, gangster films, and musicals. But we were and still continue to be inspired by other countries' types of films. Unlike now, early filmmakers had a much harder time dealing with censorship and sound while making their films. Censorship began in 1922. Kissing was not allowed for more than 3 seconds in a film. Curse words were forbidden, violence had to be regulated, and if a man and woman were in bed together, one foot had to be on the ground at all times. Transitions from the silent era of 1928 to film with sound was problematic. The microphones were not good and had to be hidden in flower pots or other places on set. The characters looked silly talking into these obvious props. Actors with thick accents lost their jobs because they were difficult to understand. And there was also a language barrier. But aside from the changes and complications throughout film history, we have been left with a beautiful art form. Looking back at Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, F.W. Murnau, Orson Welles, and hundreds of other talented directors shows us that no matter how different they are from one another, they all shared a passion for film. Film will continue to grow and change, but no one knows where it's heading next. Every movie we see, we are witnessing film history in the making. Thank you.